Hello and welcome to my channel. I'm Shannon and I love rocks and gemstones, and rock tumbling is one of my very favorite hobbies. And today I'm going to show you how I tumbled tree agate from start to finish. So I'm going to take you through my entire process from the rough all the way to the polished, finished product. And then at the very end, I will show you my timeline and the recipe that I used to get these results. And tree agate is a really wonderful, lovely stone to polish. And it is very closely related to moss agate. But the difference between the two is that tree agate is a solid opaque white quartz with the green dendritic material, and moss agate, those white parts are more semi-transparent. They let the light through. So it's more of a clearish type material with the green dendrites. But today we're focusing on tree agate, and tree agate is not actually technically an agate. It is part of the chalcedony family, but it doesn't display the banding that an agate actually has. Although on some of these, I would argue with that, because this piece here seems to have some banding around the dendrites. But tree agate is Mohs hardness 7, so it's really durable in a rock tumbler. And I do this entire process with a rotary rock tumbler. And the only thing I would note is that you'll have to come to your own decisions about how many imperfections that you want to leave in your stone, because there are lots of little beautiful crevices and areas where there might be some little crystals showing in there and not perfectly smooth. But I tend to leave mine with a more natural shape, a more natural look to it. And you'll see what that looks like as we go through the whole process. So let's get started and let me show you the rough. Okay, what I'm starting today is tree agate. And, you know, I realized I just haven't done many agates so far. I've done lots of jaspers, but agates are really gorgeous and they polish up just as nicely as jaspers. And I have a batch of tree agate in here, and I'm really curious as to how that will turn out. So I have 4 pounds here, and I'm gonna get those in the barrel and started with rough. But you know, it's hard to tell when it's rough what it's gonna look like, but tree agate is just a combination of, it's like white agate with green dendritic material in it. So it's a lovely combination of white and green when it's completed, and parts of it are even partly translucent. We've got some parts in here that I might not tumble, because you see that's a little crystal cluster, and I don't think I want to wreck that. So, all right, let me get these in the barrel. The tree agate has just finished 1 week in course, and so it's roughed off all of the dirt and everything that just hides the natural stone beauty. And now we see what these pieces are going to look like. Look at that. Gorgeous. Green and white. I mean, it still has a ways to go, because there's a lot of shaping left to do here. So we're going to get this back in course, and this might take, you know, maybe 4 to 5 weeks in course. But I look forward to seeing it shape. Oh, so pretty. Yeah. Ooh, look at that. Gorgeous. All right, I'll get this back in the barrel with more coarse grit. The Tree Agate has just been through 2 weeks in coarse, and it's looking really nice. You can really see that white and green now, and you can see some of the pretty patterns that are there, but it's definitely going to need at least a couple more weeks in course because, you know, it's pretty tough and it's not shaping very quickly. And while some of these I think will look great with a more natural shape to them, they still need a little bit more. Like, that's probably hard to see, but that's got some nice patterns in there. Yeah. All right. Let's get this back in the barrel for some more coarse. Here is the Tree Agate, and I believe this has been in 2 weeks in course as well. And wow, some of these pieces are just really looking phenomenal. I just love the designs in these. And just, you know, as trivia, the only difference between Tree Agate and Moss Agate is the white area opaque or not? If it's opaque, light doesn't shine through, it's Tree Agate. If it is like semi-translucent, then it's Moss Agate. But this is looking really gorgeous, but could just use a little bit more shaping. So I'll put this back in course for another week, and we'll see how it's looking then. I'm going to leave some of these more of a natural shape, but I would like a little bit more work on these done before I move them on to medium. The Tree Agate has been in course for several weeks. I'm not sure how many now, probably 3. And it's shaping really nicely. It's looking pretty good. Some of them are kind of pitted, so this is like the Crazy Lace Agate, in which you may have to accept some pitting and it will just have a more natural look. But just make sure to wash your stones really well between cycles. But I do still want these to remain in course for a little bit longer, because I think they can get a little bit smoother before we move on to medium. But yeah, I'm really loving the patterns of the material in this Tree Agate. Really lovely. Ooh, here's a good one. Look at that. It really does remind me a little of the Crazy Lace Agate, except with just the white and green colors right now. So, really lovely. All right, let me get this back in the barrel. We'll take a look at it again next week. Here is the Tree Agate after several weeks in course, and the shape is really nice now, and I really do think it's ready to move on to medium. You know, this is a batch that's going to have a lot with just a natural shape rather than like really rounded oval or circle looking pieces. Like this one's really lovely. I really like that one. And like here, we've got a little crystal, a little druzy cave in there. Looking gorgeous. And just look at these patterns. So nice. There we go. There's my focus. I mean, look at that. You've got crystals there in the middle, and then the Tree Agate all around it. So nice. All right. Look at that. That's another favorite. This is just looking really, really lovely. So I'm also going to put this through a wash cycle so I can make sure to get rid of any of the like remaining coarse grit that might be in some of these crevices. and then move this on to medium grit. Here is the Tree Agate after 1 week in medium, and after I rescued it from its nearly exploding barrel. And it's looking really nice. The surface is really smooth with the exception of the areas with the natural pitting in it. And I think I mentioned this before when it was in course, but tree agate and moss agate are very closely related. They're gathered in the same areas, and the difference between the two is the level of translucency in the white areas. So tree agate, those areas that are not green will be white and opaque. You can't see through them. But see, in here I do have some pieces of moss agate in that batch, and you could see the areas that would be white let a little bit of light through, and that's what makes this moss agate and this tree agate. But it's looking really good, but I've got to do a really careful wash cycles on this because there is a lot of natural pitting that I'm leaving, and I want to make sure that it doesn't carry any grit along with it to the fine stage. So this will go in a barrel with about a tablespoon or two of either Dreft or Ivory soap and water, and run for about an hour until you get these really rinsed and that you don't have any extra grit caught in the ceramic media or in the pits of the tree agate. So we'll do that, and then we'll get these into fine grit. Here is the tree agate after a week in fine grit. And, you know, I have to tell you, every week that I look at this tree agate, I love it more and more. And I find some pieces that are just spectacular and just have this really nice mossy pattern. And this one's really shimmery and sparkly, and I'm just loving the patterns. And the colors. These are just really gorgeous. So excited. And I'll be cleaning these up really good. I'll be doing a wash cycle because there are some natural pits in these, like on this one right here. And I don't want them to carry grit through to the next stage to contaminate it. So I'm going to put these through a wash cycle before they go into extra fine grit. But, oh, such beautiful stones. All right, let me get these washed up and into extra fine. Here is the tree agate after a full week in extra fine grit, and it's now ready to go into polish. Yay, we have something going into polish this week. But the surface, the parts that are smooth are really smooth. And of course I left some of the natural pitting in these, so those parts aren't smooth, but the rest of the stones feel like they'll take a really good polish. And of course you can't tell that by feel. I don't want to be deceptive. You know, I don't get to the point where I look at these under an eye loupe. However, many do and find it very useful. I just don't tend to have the time. But I think these are in a really good state for polish. So pretty. But, you know, I've got to put these through a couple of wash cycles because of these natural pits. And I want to make sure that every last bit of slurry is gone from this and from the ceramic media in the barrel. So, you know, wash your barrel with soap and a sponge, the lid, the barrel, the outer lid, and make sure to run your stones in water and like a chemical-free soap. Like that's why Dreft or Ivory soap is often used, or borax, and get these really, really clean. Then we'll get them in the barrel for polish. Here is the Tree Agate after a full week in aluminum oxide polish. And we're going to check how shiny it is right now. So I'm just going to pull some directly out of the barrel and give it a rinse in some clean water here. And dry. We'll dry it off really good with our paper towel so we can see how shiny it is. Look at that. This Tree Agate took some really, really good polish. So let's try one that's white. Rinse it off in our water. Take a dry paper towel and dry it off. And yeah, you can see that pretty shine. It's harder to see on the white here, but it is like super shiny, really nice. Let's see. One more. How about this one here? Rinse. Dry. And shine. Yay! You could see the natural pitting that I did leave in the Tree Agate right there. But around that, all the flat and smooth surfaces are really nice and shiny. So this is great. So next I'm going to burnish this, and that is rinse all of the polish off of this, put it in with some soap and a little bit of borax, and let it run for about an hour, and that will clean all of the polish residue off of the rocks and out of the natural pits and give it an extra shiny look. Then I'll show you pictures of the finished product. Thank you so much for joining me and watching my adventure as I took Tree Agate all the way from rough to the finished polished product. And Tree Agate is really beautiful. And the patterns and the colors are, I mean, they're just so beautiful to watch as you go through the whole tumbling process. I really fell in love with this stone. After that first weekend course, it unveiled all these different patterns of the dendrites, and it was so lovely. So I hope I've piqued your curiosity and you're ready to go out and get some Tree Agate rough and start tumbling it yourself. If you're a brand new rock tumbler, then make sure to check out my Rock Tumbling 101 video, and I'll leave the link to that in the description below. It's a series of videos that will take you all through the supplies that you need, the types of tumblers, and videos of every step of the process. And if you're an experienced rock tumbler and you'd like to see how I tumble a wide variety of gemstones, then make sure to hit the subscribe button so you won't miss a single gemstone video. Thank you, and I'll see you again next week.